Prague. At night. The cobblestones glisten beneath the weak halo of a single street lamp, standing its ground like a final act of defiance, life resisting death. Footsteps echo between squat, hunched buildings, hurried, purposeful, fleeing, hunted. A stumble, control, obsession. The smell of copper, fear, and leather announces the figure long before it slices through the lamplight like a lightning strike of absent illumination. A short, frantic glance around, listening. From within the alleys comes a distant staccato of footsteps, a drumming carried ahead of the enemy. A cat, pressed deep into the shelter of the building's silhouettes, hisses as two more shadows follow the rhythm of their own steps, trying to corner it before they too dissolve into darkness, leaving behind nothing but an echo in the lamplight. A leap, a brief screech. Claws sink deep into the flesh. Teeth tear the rat apart. A huntress of the night hunting. Blood spreads across the stones. One victim taken. A fleeting reflection in a puddle along the gutter. Dark clothing, pale face, gaunt frame. Two more reflections ripple in the piss of a late-night passerby. Dark clothing, faces concealed. One tall and angular, the other smaller, more delicate. Hunted through the labyrinthine old town. One shadow that had forgotten to whom it belonged. Two shadows that had not forgotten. A wall ends the chase, the pursuit, the flight, his path. Panting, he looks around, searching for escape. Eyes that have seen too much bore into the dark. In the hammering of his heartbeat against his skull, he sees them before he hears them. Two black silhouettes, tight clothing beneath coats. The flash of two pairs of eyes, muscles tensing. He clutches it, presses it tight to his body, hides it inside his coat. The reason they are hunting him. Hand it over. A voice tears a gash through the narrow dead end. You've caused enough damage already, Dr. Zabunzi. Gasping, he feels for the wall behind him. No, he snaps between breaths. I have given too much to stop now. Another voice, softer, gentler. Yes, you have given a great price. The figure behind the words steps closer with every syllable. I know about your wife, Zabunzi. What do you know? Resistance and surrender wrestle for dominance in his voice. Charlotte, be careful. The cold voice catches at the wan woman's neck, clings to her collar like a tender breath of polar air. A brief rustle, a barely perceptible movement in the black, then the flash, blinding. A wide arc of light cuts through the night. Charlotte staggers, on the verge of losing consciousness. A blow to the head. On the ground now, half leaning against the wall of darkness, she looks up, back at what has happened and what is happening right now. Alex looks down at her own abdomen. The glint of the hidden blade lingers like an afterimage, a ghost of light glowing in the blood on her fingers. Wetness on her forehead. Blood. Charlotte had tried to dodge when she felt the impact from the side when Alex threw herself into the blade's path to protect her. Just a moment. A single moment in which death had to decide. Alex collapses, lying on the stones in a nearly black alley of an otherwise golden city. The man holds the blade before him, steps toward Alex, steps over her. Mad laughter echoes through the old town. There is no alternative. There is only this one path. I bled. I lost what I've loved. I gave up what was precious to me for one single purpose. I want cookies. Couch of Cthulhu. Entry requires trauma. Reality pays the bill. Alex on the floor looked up. The doctor squinted in the harsh light. "What?" he hissed, and slowly faded. Alex coughed, spit blood, pushed herself upright and stared at Jakob with wide eyes. "You interrupt the most exciting moment of my life with cookies?" "Was hungry." Jakob scratched the back of his head. Alex shot Charlotte an annoyed look, pulled herself up using her outstretched hand, smoothed her clothes, plucked dust bunnies from a black turtleneck. The room smelled of solvent damp paper and long worn wool socks. Otto has set up a table no one really used, a water bottle, chairs in a circle, an ashtray on the windowsill, half full, half forgotten. "Sorry," Jakob muttered. The massive man in grimy grey clothes and a stained apron sat down sheepishly, looked like a cow on a milking stool, or a piece of furniture accidentally dragged into therapy. Calm, broad, friendly, like a wrecking ball in a living room. "Fat slob," Alex spit out. "He was hungry," Charlotte said apologetically. "Yeah, hungry." Jakob stared at the floor. "Well, we're not here to like each other," Alex said, slumping into her chair as if she's already done with the day. "We're here because nobody else wants us." Hans flinched, as he always did when someone said something that smelled like truth. "Yeah, no, maybe." His jacket rested on his lap, hands folded on top as if he might have to pray at any moment, or vomit. "Why did you drag me into this?" "Pardon?" Alex looked innocently puzzled. "Sabunzi." Hans rummaged through his mind for blurred memories and words that rose only to fade again. That was me once." "Oh, don't flatter yourself, Sabutzi Bear." Alex dismissed him without a shred of respect. "So, are we starting anytime soon?" Charlotte stared out of the window, though there was nothing to see. Her gaze hovered somewhere between a World War ruin and emotional total anesthesia. Absent-mindedly, she twirled a slightly longer strand from the fringe of her otherwise very short pixie cut. She caught her reflection in the glass. Large, silver-gray eyes in a heart-shaped face. Smeared eyeliner. No, dark circles under them. Her face suddenly shifted, took on different contours. Narrow, hollow-cheeked, ruined cuteness. 3 small blonde curls bobbing, stuck on as if glued there. "Annette's coming," she said distractedly, watching her longtime companion enter the community hall. "Hi." Annette's cheerfulness raised serious doubts about her mental health long before any of the traumatic events. A wave of daisies, tiny piping birds, and winged unicorns seemed to swarm every word she spoke. Coping strategies. Annette wasn't stupid. She had razor-sharp powers of observation, undermined only by her inability to line up more than 2 thoughts in sequence. Her battered leather bag hit the floor with a crash as she dropped into a chair with a loud sigh, looking for a brief moment as if she were wondering how she had ended up here. She chewed on the eraser of a pencil and watched the others as if they were insects under glass. Curious, non-judgmental, more like a child trying to learn how a butterfly flies without breaking it. A door handle. A draft shoved its way into the room as if trying to make the squeak tangible. Hans flinched at the loud bang of the door slamming shut. A coat struggled to keep pace with its owner's feet, clawed at the air behind the gaunt figure, banged against the back of a chair, then sagged sadly as 2 thin legs crossed. A clipboard was placed on top and a pair of glasses adjusted on a small grey face. "Let's just begin," said Otto Schulte. "Today openly honest, no masks, okay?" I don't wear masks anymore, Alex said. At most, the one made of skin, and even that fits like shit today. Hans cleared a throat, softly, half-heartedly, as if his voice, too, was trying to escape. I honestly don't know what I'm doing here, he said. I mean, I do know, but I wish I didn't. Welcome to the club of the blissfully unaware, Alex growled. Admission requires trauma. The bill goes to reality. This morning I found my toothbrush in the freezer, Charlotte said suddenly without looking up. That's weird, right? Depends, Annette chirped. If you're being kind to yourself, it's self-care. If you're trying to hurt yourself, it's pathological. If you're punishing yourself, it's Catholic. Silence. I buried a mouse yesterday, Annette said then. Her name was Beatrix. I didn't really know her, we weren't friends, but I liked the calm she radiated. Jakob nodded. Alex grinned broadly. Annette, she said. Was she already dead when you met her? Annette tilted her head. I think so. Silence. I broke a guy's arm today, Jakob rumbled. What did he do? Alex asked. Pushed a kid. Was it your kid? Nope. Well, it is now. Jakob smiled just a little, but it was there. Please stop that, Alex sneered. It doesn't make you any prettier. But he's actually kind of cute when he smiles, Charlotte whispered. She could feel the medication starting to take effect. Her thoughts, usually like feathers sunk in molasses, now felt like moths trapped in acrylic resin. Yeah, Alex agreed. Once a sculptor had a beautiful idea for a beautiful face, then the clay fell on the floor, and that's what Jakob looks like when he... Children, Otto Schulte cut her off. Again, welcome, weekly session, thanks for coming. Without coordinating, all eyes drifted to two empty chairs. Otto followed their gaze. Poppy and Gregory are on a mission. The lucky ones, Annette cried, clapping enthusiastically. The... who? Charlotte felt the acrylic hardening around the moth. Missionary position? Alex nudged Charlotte in the ribs with a wink, but found only empty eyes. Cookies, Jacob concluded the litany in a low whisper. So, Schulte let his gaze sweep across the faces over the rim of his glasses. Who wants to start? Something good, something new, something bad? Silence. Then hesitation, and then words. I sometimes dream that I wake up and my skin is wrong again, Alex said. I mean, even more wrong than usual. Sometimes I'm the boy again, sometimes the girl, sometimes nothing at all. You're beautiful, Annette cooed. Charlotte lifted her head slightly, trying to locate Annette through the wobbling soup of light and the dull roar of voices. She strained to raise an eyebrow. You had your chance, Annette. Alex leaned toward Charlotte, gently stroked her cheek, removed a short strand of saliva from her lip, looked around for a place to dispose of it, and then chose her own mouth. Charlotte smiled, her eyelids trembling. Stop taking those shitty pills, Alex whispered. They don't do anything, they just switch you off. I dream that my tongue is made of glass, Hans said quietly, and every word shatters in my mouth. He glanced around, bracing for discomfort, but met only understanding looks. Yes? Well, Hans hesitated. I sweep it all up with a dustpan. He's a very tidy man, Charlotte babbled, foam on the edges of her words. Hans studied her, searching for irony, but found none in Charlotte's already dissolving expression. I sweep everything together and curse loudly, he continued. But then there are new shots. More and more, I am ground down in a mouthful of splinters into... Otto looked at him expectantly. Yes? Marsh. Can you imagine where that might come from, Hans? Hans looked up. He looked at Annette. Annette said, Hi, Hans. Hans raised an eyebrow, offered a tentative wave, which Annette returned with uncomfortably enthusiastic arm flailing. I once tried to hypnotize someone. Hans searched his memory. Nathan, Charlotte whispered softly. Oh, hi, Charlotte, Annette exclaimed delightedly. Charlotte narrowed her eyes. She could barely make out more than diffuse shadows now. Yes, that was her name. Hans let the words fall from his mouth like a long-chewed mush, splattering on the floor, studying the pattern thoughtfully. I opened something like a channel. Go on, Otto prompted. I wanted to know something from her. Charlotte jerked helplessly in her chair, shaken by erupting fits of laughter, like a marionette with slack strings. And you learned more than you wanted. Otto looked from Charlotte to Hans and back again. Yes, Hans clenched his teeth. But I didn't learn more. You learned everything, Charlotte burst out. Hans looked at her for a long time. Yes, I wanted an espresso cup and she gave me an ocean. Otto scribbled on his clipboard, then looked up. Anything specific you learned? Nothing important. Hans fell silent. Charlotte opened her eyes slightly. They exchanged a glance. That was when Charlotte said it would be stupid to go on a mission as a virgin, a mission about angels who had children with humans and then even more children. And then Charlotte said, actually we were standing on a soap stand and I liked one because of the smell, but the saleswoman said it was more for hair and I thought head hair. And when everyone looked at me, funny it turned out that apparently everyone except me knew that people also shave down there. And anyway, Charlotte laughed a lot, and then when I said that there hadn't really been so many opportunities to show that to someone or get comments about it because you were a virgin, Charlotte grinned broadly and nodded toward Hans. Annette looked at Hans and smiled. Yes, well, that probably wasn't ideal under those circumstances. Alex had been watching the whole thing with fascination. She slapped Charlotte excitedly on the thigh and stage-whispered loudly, "Now comes the part where he says he didn't know he was actually married because of his self-hypnosis." Alex leaned far forward. "Say it. It's my favorite scene." It was all unexpected," Hans stammered, trying to escape Alex's uncomfortable stare and the memories that had just resurfaced. "Where's this all going?" Otto asked. "Quiet," Alex hissed. "That was on that little boat thingy on the Black Sea that Charlotte dragged me into," Hans continued. He looked at Annette. "Angels who had children with women that didn't just produce giant Nephilim, it also produced Jesus and his mother." "Totally screwed Jesus' father," Alex finished the sentence. "Was a virgin," Charlotte chimed in from behind a curtain of gelatine. "And that was apparently kind of awkward." "Would have," Annette smiled crookedly. Otto grimaced, made a note and looked at Hans. "So?" "Well, without knowing it, because I had apparently hypnotized myself beforehand to erase her from my memory, I was married." Hans looked almost apologetic toward Schulte. Alex slowly leaned back, pointing at Hans with a wide grin. "No, this Nazan you learned more about than you wanted. That's where we slipped straight into your intimate life." Hans smiled awkwardly. Annette blushed. Charlotte twitched twice in short bursts of laughter. Alex had buried her face in her hands, still watching Annette and Hans with fascination. Jakob scratched himself, glanced around helplessly, then discovered the bowl of cookies on the windowsill. In that moment, I was flooded by a wave, as if an entire sea had broken over me. An ocean, images, feelings, thoughts, memories, and my death." He paused briefly. "It tore me apart, ground me down, penetrated me, shot through every vein. Every cell ran through my nerves like a lightning strike." Hans trembled. "She showed me everything. Everything." Annette placed her hand on his knee. "Sometimes it's enough just to know who your friends are." Otto looked at Annette, puzzled. Alex twisted her face as if tasting a sweet wine. "I was a magician, an illusionist, a stage magician, Dr. Zabunzi. But I never believed in things like that before. Real magic, power of words, of thoughts. And then Hazan washed away my arrogance like God washed away the Nephilim when he sent the flood upon humanity. I realized that I was nothing but a shell of empty words, just to claim an unfulfilled promise, a lie, words, he faltered, words that are only spoken in glass, Alex said softly. Hans lifted his head. They looked at each other for a long time. Yes, your wife loves you. Your children love you. Charlotte pushed against her heavy eyelids and looked at him. In my world, you were the man you've now become in this one. I love you too, Hans. Jakob looked at him with shining eyes. Hans couldn't suppress a quiet laugh. Otto checked his watch. Well, that's been quite productive so far. Anyone else? I've stopped dreaming, Charlotte murmured. My dreams are on the radio now. Between dance music, weather report, and advertisements for own good. Annette sighed. I recently recognized how we'll all end in a child's face. He stared at me like I was a ghost, and then he smiled without teeth, just flesh, and I thought, that's the future. Otto wrote quickly, scratching silently, with the seriousness of a part-time gravedigger. He furrowed his brow and looked around the circle. You know what makes me angry, Otto? Alex said. That we still behave. That we sit here pretending we have a chance at normality, as if we could let ourselves off the leash again without tearing each other apart. Hans looked at her. Maybe we're not doing it for ourselves. Then for whom? Alex asked. For those who can still look at us without vomiting? Hans held her gaze. Pretty small target group, Alex scoffed. But real, Jakob said. I don't remember Carla's face anymore, Charlotte whispered. Only her voice in the radio commercials and her hands. Always the hands. How she smoked with those thin spider-leg fingers, how she looked at me, always as if I could disappear into a cocoon of spider silk. Annette closed her eyes. I feel like we've all been dead for a long time, she said. We're just twitching. Then I at least want to be the last one to twitch, Alex said, with style, with lipstick, with drama, and with a damn good accent. Jakob slowly stood up. I'll just check on the cookies. Otto laughed dryly. We don't have any cookies, Jakob. I know. Jakob poked around in the ashtray with his sausage-thick fingers and slipped an old, extinguished cigarette into his mouth. Ew. Good, then we'll end for today. Next time I'd like to hear more about Carla. He stood up and moved to leave the room as quickly as he had entered it, paused briefly beside Charlotte and held out a small tube of pills. Charlotte, Alex took the tube from Schulte's hand and pocketed it. She watched him for a long moment as he left. Come on, sweetheart. We'll take you home. She linked arms with Charlotte, catching the weight of her soft legs. Hans joined them, supporting Charlotte's other side. Alex looked past Charlotte at Hans. You know that I love you, right? Yes, Hans said. I will never doubt that. Oh, you're so sweet, Annette exclaimed behind them. Oh, no, I don't want a cookie. She smiled apologetically at Jakob. Home-baked, Jakob muttered, and closed the door.